Hey guys, it's Cece, and this is my girlfriend Janelle, and today we are here to do the TBR tag. So the original tag was created by some bloggers. I will leave the original stuff down in the description below if you want to go check it out. I was not tagged to do this, but I saw this on Lala of Books and Lala's channel, and Janelle was like, we have to do this tag. It sounds great. So there are how many questions?
12 questions.
So there are 12 questions that are all about our TBRs. We're gonna kind of mix and match whether that's physical TBR or like Goodreads TBR. Janelle doesn't have a Goodreads, she just has a ridiculously long list. But we're gonna go back and forth and answer some questions. So let's get started.
I'm reading the questions off my phone. I'm not just looking down. First question. How do you keep track of your TBR pile?
So my TBR pile is kind of, there's either just my Goodreads, which is my planned TBR in general forever, and then I have a physical TBR pile generally. So here at school I have a specific shelf that's all for TBR books, and at my house in Utah I also have a designated shelf for books I haven't read yet.
Mine's kind of complicated. I should really get out a flow chart. But the basics are...
I'll put it up on the screen.
I don't use Goodreads. And I don't really buy books until I'm ready to read them.
Yeah.
So it's really just a list. There's two lists, actually, of books I want to read. There's one list that's books that are like...
The long list.
There's a long list of books that I want to read eventually, and a shorter list of books that I can choose from to read soon. Yeah.
And it's all on either, like, her desktop. She has, like, a post-it list of all the long list, and then she has a Word document of, like, the ones that she's most anxious to read.
Yeah. And if I do have, like, physical TBR books, I just don't put them on my bookshelf. They just sit in a stack next to my bed.
Yep.
Question 2. Is your TBR mostly print or ebook? I mean, I read my books pretty much exclusively print books, but I don't own them until I'm ready to read them.
Yeah. My TBR is almost exclusively physical if I own the books. The only reason I usually have ebooks is if they're eARC copies that I get sent. So I have a few on there right now. I probably have like 6 or 7, but it's all because they're eARCs. None of them that I've purchased.
Question 3. How do you determine which book from your TBR to read next?
So we're gonna have to pull out the flowchart for you again. Legitimately, I might start putting labels on the screen for hers because her system is complicated.
Should I go first?
You go first.
All right.
You go first.
So the simple version of how I decide next to read is I choose from the short list. I have the books broken up into categories, and I choose the next 5 books I'm gonna read. I don't go by the month. I finish 5 books, and then I choose the next 5 books. Mm-hmm. And I select 5 books I'm going to read, and then I can read those in whatever order I want. You want me to do the complicated version of that?
So I'm going to move over, I'm going to move behind you into the shadows, and I'm going to put a list right here as she explains it.
Alright. So this is how the short list is broken up.
Okay.
Alright. So, I break it up into, like I said, I choose 5 books a month. So, one of those books will be a reread. One of them will be either the next book in a series, or if I don't have the next book in a series, it'll be a YA book of my choice. Then I rotate and either choose... This is the most complicated one. I rotate choosing, for my 3rd book, a graphic novel, or a nonfiction book, or a fiction book of my choice. Then number 4, I choose a fiction book. And number 5, I choose a YA book.
That's the system.
So this month I'm reading a reread, 2 YA books, a nonfiction book, and a fiction book.
You know what? It used to be less complicated. That's actually gotten more complicated.
Yeah, it's gotten more complicated with time.
So the way I choose what I'm going to read next is at the beginning of the month, I figure out what I have to read. Mm-hmm. Generally speaking, there are things that I have to get through. And that's what I put in my TBR video. And then every time it's time for me to start another book, I just look at that list and pick the next thing that I'm the most interested in. It's not very complicated, especially compared to whatever this was.
A book that's been on your TBR list the longest.
What book has been on? Wait, I actually have a physical copy of mine. So, the book that has been on my Goodreads TBR for the absolute longest is The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold. According to Goodreads, this has been on there since 2011. That's probably not even accurate. That's probably the date that the previous site that predated Goodreads transferred all their information from whatever that was to Goodreads. So this has possibly been on there even longer than 2011, which is why I have to read it this year, because it's been 6 years of waiting to read this book.
Then for me, I would say I have 2 YA books that are both been on my TBR for a really long time. One is Beauty Queens by Libba Bray, and the other is Unbecoming by Jenny Downham. They've both been on there probably, I want to say 2 years at least, since I switched over to my new complicated system. A book you recently added to your TBR.
Recently?
The most recent addition to my TBR was Who Thought This Was a Good Idea by Alyssa Mastromonaco. And then the other recent addition was If We Were Villains by ML Rio, which is a adult fiction book.
So I've recently been adding 2017-2018 releases to my TBR on Goodreads. The most recent one that I added was A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas, because I just finished reading A Court of Mist and Fury. That's the most recent one. And then after that, I have Chaotic Good by Whitney Gardner, which is a 2017 release.
I think it's a 2018 release.
Did I say 2017?
Yeah, you did.
I'm sorry. I have Whitney Gardner's 2017 release, which is Your Welcome Universe, but those were the 2 most recent ones that I've added.
A book in your TBR strictly because of its beautiful cover. Okay, so Retribution Rails, which is the sequel, or I think it's a spin-off, to Vengeance Road. They're both by Aaron Bowman. And I liked the first one, but the covers are gorgeous.
They're so pretty.
They're so pretty. So that probably is slightly adding to me wanting to read the second one, just because it has an equally as gorgeous cover.
I have a couple that are probably just being influenced by the cover. The first is That Inevitable Victorian Thing by E.K. Johnston. I'm interested because I think it's queer, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's queer. But also this cover is gorgeous. And then the other one is Let's Talk About Love by Claire Can. I'm interested because it's supposed to be about an asexual main character, but it's not gotten great reviews. But I kind of refuse to take it off of my list at this point because I think this cover is really, really nice.
A book on your TBR that you never plan on reading. This is even on my shortlist TBR, but it's probably never gonna happen. It's called The Witching Hour. It's by Anne Rice. It's an older book. It's about witches. So the problem with it. It's over 1,000 pages long.
Ooh,
1,000 pages long. And I just can't see myself ever being like, you know what I want to read today? An 1,000-page book.
by Anne Rice.
Okay,
so one on my list that is possibly true is Bossy Pants by Tina Fey. And I think that at this point, I just refuse to take it off because it's been on my TBR for so long. But I added it when I was in the midst of watching 30 Rock. I was really passionate about Tina Fey, and that's super faded with time. But at this point, I keep refusing to take it off my TBR. Every time I cull my Goodreads TBR, it somehow stays on, even though it's probably never gonna happen.
An unpublished book on your TBR that you're excited for.
Ooh. So a couple that I'm really excited for, a 2017 release is The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee.
I was gonna say that too.
It comes out in June. It's my most anticipated release of the year. I think it's pretty high up on your
for YA.
For YA. Because it's historical fiction, and it's about boys falling in love.
Is it a debut?
No.
Oh! If you don't know, Mackenzie Lee is also the name of a porn star.
So that was an interesting Google search that just happened. The other book that I'm super excited for right now is there are actually a couple of anthologies that I'm looking forward to. One of those is All Out which is being put together by Sandra Mitchell, and it's a collection of short stories that are all by queer authors, and it's all about queer characters. I'm really excited about that one.
Alright, I just chose my 3 from June that I'm excited for. She already named one, The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. I'm also excited for Hunger, which is going to be Roxane Gay's next I think it's her next, like, essay book, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for Final Girls
by
Riley
Sager.
Riley Sager. Yeah, I'm excited for that. That's an adult fiction, like, thriller.
It's like a thriller.
And it sounds like it's a good plot, and also my man Stevie recommended it, so...
Stephen King.
Yeah.
He blurbed it.
So, we'll see. We'll see. A book on your TBR that basically everyone's read but you.
Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo.
The next book that I'm probably going to read...
Oh, that's right.
The Raven Boys.
By Maggie Stiefvater.
Yeah. So,
even I've read that one.
Yeah,
she hasn't.
I've never read it, but I'm excited to.
So, I think those were pretty easy answers.
A book on your TBR that everyone recommends to you.
So, a book that a lot of people tell me to read that I haven't read yet, but I'm planning on it, is probably The Dream Thieves by Maggie Stiefvater. It's the second book in the Raven Boys series, and I liked the Raven Boys, but I wasn't super passionate about it, and so a lot of people tell me that, like, you've got to keep going in the series, you got to finish it.
And then for me, another book that I'm about to read is Station 11 by
Emily St. John Mandel.
Which, like, everyone has read.
Yeah.
Everyone's read that book, and almost everyone has given it glowing reviews.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to pick it up. I just haven't gotten to it before
I know.
now.
Her mom gave it to me for Easter, and then I immediately gave it to Janelle.
Yeah.
I haven't read it yet. just immediately has it.
A book on your TBR that you're dying to read.
Probably A Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab, which I will be reading very soon. It's the final book in the Shades of Magic trilogy, and it's one of my favorite series, so I'm really excited to finish it.
For me, I mean, we're talking hype here.
Oh, yes, too. This is mine, too.
A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas.
Mm-hmm.
It is May. It's out. Many people have already read it.
A lot of people have already read it.
I'm just not quite there yet, but soon.
Soon. Janelle's gonna buy a copy. I won't be here, so I just checked my library, and they have a copy that I can get pretty soon. I think we're both pretty excited to find out how it ends.
Yeah. Last question. How many books are on your TBR shelf? On my immediate TBR, there's 38. On my longer TBR, there's probably another, like, 40 or 50. So I'm in the 70, 80 range, probably.
Yeah, around there.
Yeah.
On my physical TBR, I probably have, like, 40 or so. Possibly a bit lower than that. It's split over two places. I think it's between 30 and 40 on physical TBR. My Goodreads TBR shelf is telling me I have 225 books on it. That is only, like, the next book in a series. If I've only read the first book in a series and I'm planning on reading the whole thing, the entire series isn't on that list. So, like, the Raven Boys isn't all on there. The rest of the Lunar Chronicles aren't all on there. So on that note, with our TBRs disclosed to you, hopefully Janelle's system made some kind of sense.
If it doesn't, I can send out a graphic, don't worry.
She'll start working on that. I'll link that in the description below. You can check it out on our Google Doc. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Janelle for being here and for insisting that we do this tag before I even knew what it was. Legitimately, I just came back and she was like, we have to do a video. We have to do this tag. So...
ratting me out here.
I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. Please let me know some of these answers for your personal TBRs down in the comments below. Janelle freaks out if people's TBR shelves are really big, so if you have a big TBR shelf, let me know so I can panic her. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!